So we decided to drive into D.C. today instead of taking the train. The daily parking is only $25, but it's a little bit more complicated parking situation than I'm used to dealing with. Back in Indianapolis, a lot of the parking garages were full. I dropped Lauren and the kids off at the National Archives and told them just to go ahead and do the tour themselves without me while I found parking. I did finally find something, but now I gotta go try and hook back up with them. So, if I can remember where I parked. I was able to catch up with Lauren and the kids, and they hadn't gone through the archives yet. So I was able to go through it with them. It was pretty cool. There's no photography or videography allowed in there though, so I didn't get any of that on film. But let's see what some of the kids thought of. Nolan, what did you think of all those super old, 100 years old documents? Was that pretty interesting to see our original? See what started the Independence Day, July 4th, why we have fireworks and stuff? Was that interesting?
A lot of the documents were like really faded and they were like hard to read. Like, they're old. I thought it was really cool to see the documents for myself and see this history.
We're making our way to the Capitol to go on our Capitol tour. The front of it's all under construction right now, so it's not as photogenic as it is normally. Made it to the back side of the Capitol now. This side is under renovation, so it's really beautiful still. And we're still trying to get to the visitor entrance to the Capitol. There's a lot of walking in this town. We made it to the Capitol Visitor Center finally after a super long walk, and we're waiting now to start our tour. Each tour participant was given a set of headphones from which they could hear the narration given by the tour guide for their group. The first stop on the tour is a place known as the Crypt. This pillar-filled room is directly below the rotunda and was once designated as a place where George Washington could potentially have been buried. The pillars are hand-carved, and one can still see the tool markings left behind on them. We next climb the winding staircases to the rotunda room above. The rotunda is the center of the Capitol and rises 180 feet to the painting at the peak. All throughout the vast room are countless paintings and sculptures that tell the story of our country's history. The final stop on our tour was Statuary Hall. This was the location of the meeting chamber for the House of Representatives before the current location. Today the room houses a collection of various statues that are chosen for display by each of the 50 states. We just completed our Capitol tour, which was pretty cool to be inside the dome there and see all the cool artwork. We're standing at the actual front of the Capitol now, I think, because that's the way the statue on top is facing. The more famous view is the other side, which I don't know, I guess is the back side. But it's really pretty here to see the whole thing without the scaffolding that the other side has. Just behind us back there is the Supreme Court building in the distance. we're taking a shortcut here through the U.S. Botanical Gardens, which is really pretty. Lots of cool plants and flowers. We're now at the Air and Space Museum, and they wanted everyone to get timed access passes because it's partly under construction. We got 3 o'clock one, and it's now 3 o'clock, but we're like in a line like 1,000 people deep, so it's probably going to be an hour before we even get in. I don't even understand the logic of what's going on here, but it is what it is. The line seems to be moving relatively fast, so hopefully we'll get in and not a terribly long wait. We have the original Enterprise right here from the TV show from the 60s. This isn't the one from the movies, this is the original series Enterprise. This is the Wright Flyer, the very first airplane that ever flew by the Wright Brothers in 1903. It's always amazing to see this thing. It's so crazy how we went from this to jet airplanes in only 40 to 50 years time frame, and then landed on the moon in 1969. So the Wright Brothers originally started with kites and experimented with different forms of kites before they perfected their next thing, which gliders. They moved on to gliders with no engines, and then they obviously built their first airplane with an engine.
That's a lot of control.
Yeah, how do you ever know what everything means? Wow, they even had tables back in the day.
Yes. No, you can't. There's plastic there, so you can't sit in it.
That's a pretty big engine, isn't it, Lila? So that's how like a helicopter works? So this whole room is designated for unmanned exploration of the planets. There's a model of Voyager up there, and we've got a model of the rovers that are on Mars back there. Isn't that pretty cool, Lila? Yeah. Moon buggy it's a model of the one that they took to the moon and drove it around the moon. Isn't that cool? This is the Apollo 11 command module. This is the actual capsule that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins flew in when they returned to Earth from going to the moon for the first time.
Okay, engine stop. When you have to get down, there you go. It'll be good, yeah. There you go, and land it.
This is the kid standing in front of the first man in space for America. Alan Shepard was in this thing. Look at these crazy golden statues. We're going across the Potomac River now. So originally we were going to eat this picnic lunch earlier in the day, but things didn't work out quite that way. When we went to the Capitol, we were really far from where we had to park. So we ate there, and it was almost $70 for cafeteria food.
It was gross.
And it wasn't very good.
I thought it was good.
And so now we're eating our picnic lunch. And originally we were gonna try to find some place in town to eat it, and we were gonna go to Arlington, and that closed 5, which we didn't realize. So we decided to take a side trip here to the Great Falls, the place I've always wanted to see, was curious about. And our GPS took us on some crazy wild route in circles and all kinds of craziness. But we're finally here, we're finally eating supper And we hope to see the waterfall before it actually gets dark.
Amazing. I wish we could go out to the island.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So the Great Falls of the Potomac River are pretty much as amazing and spectacular as I thought they would be just from the pictures I've seen in books and whatnot. I'm really glad we made this little short stop over here to see them. There's little waterfalls and rapids and everything all over the place. It just kind of goes on and on as far as you can see. This is an escarpment, I guess, where the Piedmont region drops off to the coastal plains and flattens out from here. So it's kind of a dividing line between geological regions of Maryland and Virginia.